All right, let's take a look at the crop tool, and it's located on the left-hand side of the workspace in the toolbar. And as you would well imagine, it does crop your image. Cropping is one of the easier things that you'll do in processing your images, but there's more to this specific crop tool than meets the eye. So let's take a look at how this functions. Again, you click on the icon over here and you'll see a framework that jumps up on your image. Now, the heavy lifting is done up here in the options bar. We'll get to that in just a second. But basically what you do is you grab one of these nodes, left click, hold it down, and you can crop to your heart's content. You can make it any aspect ratio. You can make it really, really landscape or really, really, really tall. Do whatever you want, etc. Now, if you let go and that's not what you're looking for and you want to start over, just come up here and hit this little arrow at the very top and it will return the crop framework to the edges of the image and you can start over. So grabbing these nodes is how to move things around. Hit this little area here to go back to the beginning. Or, as we have mentioned previously, you can go back on your history states or hit Command-Z. So when using the crop tool, you have 3 ways to go back to the beginning. So fear not. Practice. You can't hurt anything, and you can always go back if you don't like your results. Now let's take a look at the options bar. Up here where it says ratio, these are the 2 main areas you're going to use. What I usually use is the WH times resolution. And what I can do here is I can say, okay, I want an 8 by 10 at 300 pixels per inch. And this is what we have. And this as cropped, let's go ahead and show it to you. I'll go ahead and crop it. And there we have an 8 by 10 inch image at 300 pixels per inch. And we can confirm that by coming up to image, image size, and there you have it, 8 by 10 at 300, okay? Now let's go back, start again. Now let's say I don't want a portrait orientation, I want a landscape orientation. What you do, and you see these 2 arrows right here, you click on that, and there you have a landscape orientation image. And you'll notice the values changed. Watch how the values change when you click on this double arrow icon right here. So it goes 8 by 10 to 10 by 8, and the resolution stays the same. So this is pretty cool the way it works right there. Now I can also come in here and say I want 9 inches and then hit this and hit this, hit return. We take a look at the image, image size, and indeed we have a 9 by 10. So whatever you want, the way you want to crop this image is endless. I mean, the limitations are boundless on the crop tool when you use it this way. Now I'm going to go back to 8 on here just because that's something that's a standard. All right, so we have an 8 by 10 at 300 pixels per inch, and we've cropped a large portion of the image. So most of the image content is going to be contained in the 8 by 10 image. But let's say that I want to isolate a small area of the image, and so I want to say maybe I want to crop it down this way, this far. And what I want to get into the image, I'm going to back up because I didn't want to do that. See how you can just go back, click in the middle of the image, and we'll start again. See how that works? All right, let's go again. We're going to come down here like this, bring the crop tool way down. I'm going to move the image over like this to isolate the cell phone tower. For whatever reason, you might want to crop down to the cell phone tower. I'm also going to bring this down to eliminate some of the foreground. So you click on that, and you see how tiny that area is that we've cropped it down to. Hit return, and then we come up and we have image, image size, and that tiny little area of the image has been turned into an 8 by 10 image at 300 pixels per inch. Now, we're not going to talk about the stupidity of doing something like that because look at how, look, I mean, you know, the quality really deteriorates when you crop down that tiny on such a large image. So let's go to the beginning and we'll come up here and click on this to start again. So that's how you use the WH plus resolution. Everything is added in here. You can make this anything you want, and then when you want to change it, you just hit these arrows in the middle. Pretty straightforward. Now, when you go to ratio, okay, this is the original ratio of this image, and as you grab this node, you want to hold down the Shift key, left click, and it will maintain the original ratio or aspect ratio of the image. Okay, so holding down the Shift key maintains the aspect ratio. Let's go ahead and bring this back to the beginning. Now you have some presets in here, and I never really use these presets. They're a bit cumbersome, but you can use them if you want to. Hit 5:7, which is a very common image size. Notice there's no resolution designated here. We're only talking about the aspect ratio. But once again, if you want to go from portrait to landscape, you simply click these two opposing direction arrows right here between the two values, and it will shift. Now let's see what happens. We'll go ahead and crop it, and we come to image size, and then we have to crop it to what we want within the image size dialog box, which is something we'll go over later on. But it's a bit more cumbersome when you do it that way, but you can if you want to. Again, the flexibility to do whatever you want is always there. We're going to go back to the beginning, Control Z. I want to reset my bounding box for the crop tool, and there you have it. Now, there's another thing about the crop tool that I want to show you that you're going to use frequently. There's not a photographer on planet Earth that hasn't had a crooked image or an image that's not level, and to correct that, very, very easy. So I'm going to purposely tilt this image just like this. And then we still have the crop tool, but look up here in the options bar, you'll see this little icon right here under straighten. Click on that, and then you can grab this little area right here and stretch this line out, and it will automatically level your image. So when you want to straighten your image, use the crop tool. So that's pretty much it. Those are the main things. Now, these little two icons right here, you don't need. Just ignore those. I've never used them. Couldn't tell you what they do. Content aware, you want to turn this off. It'll just confuse you, and you don't need it. Again, if you want to reset the crop boundary to the very edge of the image, hit there. Now, the other thing is, let's go ahead and pull this down here. You can execute your crop with this check mark. Now, I never do it that way because it's just another area that I have to push my mouse to go up. If all I have to do is hit the return key, that's my way of executing my crop. So if you want to do it that way, you certainly can. Just hit the check mark if you're satisfied with your settings on your crop. So there's the crop tool. Come in, play with it. Don't be afraid. You can't hurt anything. And if you get jammed up and you want to start over again, once again, use the history panel, Command Z, or simply hit this little weird arrow icon at the very top. So there you have the crop tool in Photoshop.